I'm here tonight because I shared a story about my first ex-boyfriend. Now let me go full circle and offer you a story about my last ex-boyfriend. This story begins when my boyfriend Brian told me not to bother coming to his birthday. And as I stood there stunned, he said in a condescending tone, "Can you figure out what this means?" I will always remember that condescending question, because those words, "Can you figure out what this means?" marked the end of my relationship with Brian. But it wasn't quite the end, because I cyberstalked him. And then one day, one December 13, 2015 at 7:22 a.m. day, I saw on Facebook the first photo of Brian and his new fiancée. Who moves on that fast? And that's when I realized I need psychological help. And luckily, I am the psychological help. I have a PhD in psychology, and I needed to put that to use to psychoanalyze the hell out of this photo. So I read the research on body language, and I noticed that Brian was posed with his arm around his fiancée's shoulder. I learned this is a friendly gesture, how you touch someone that you like. Then I went and looked at all of his pictures with me, and I noticed he tended to pose with his arm around my waist. This is an intimate gesture, how you touch someone that you more than like. This knowledge was comforting, and it was fascinating to read about nonverbal behavior, because all of my research in psychology focused on verbal behavior. In fact, full circle, my dissertation was on the use of storytelling. But thanks to Brian, I got to learn some cool new things. For example, did you know there's a body part that reveals how someone feels about you? And it's not the body part you're thinking of. It's actually the stomach. Our stomach is a very vulnerable part of our body, and we have evolved to protect it. I would only open and expose my stomach to someone that I genuinely like and trust. On the other hand, there's ventral denial. If I don't like you, I'll smile and say nice things to be polite, but I will have an unconscious reaction to cover my stomach, perhaps with my hand placement, or maybe with an object like a purse, or by angling my stomach away from you. Ventral denial is the #1 nonverbal predictor of divorce and relationship problems. Now to bring my story full circle. You remember that first photo I cyberstalked? Now let me tell you about the latest one. She was turned to the side with her back to Brian. Ventral denial. He was facing forward. His upper body was leaning toward her, but his stomach was angled away. And his left arm, which could have been used to embrace her, was instead over his stomach. Ventral denial. And now for the fullest circle. You remember those condescending words? How Brian broke up with me by asking, "Can you figure out what this means?" Well, I was so speechless that night, I never got a chance to answer him. And now here I am, on the stage of the Strand, with a microphone. Don't you think I owe him an answer? So, Brian, honey, let me just say to you, I have figured out exactly what this means. May those words that were meant to cut me down uplift you. Thank you, and I love you all.